International superstar Jake the Problem Child Paul will face former UFC welterweight champion Tyron the Chosen One Woodley.
They will leave no doubt as to who is the winner between these two fierce competitors.
Jake Paul was supposed to be fighting Tommy Fury on Saturday, but instead will be rematching Tyron Woodley 4 months after their first bout.
They're gonna give me a big bag to go and beat the guy I already beat. This is a bank robbery.
Paul won their first fight in Cleveland back in August by split decision, but he was lucky to avoid the first knockdown in his hometown as he was given a first thrilling ring test before continuing his winning streak. Paul had previously beaten another experienced MMA fighter in Ben Askren, as well as former NBA star Nate Robinson and fellow internet personality Anison Gibb, with Fury's withdrawal denying him a first shot at an actual professional boxer.
Tommy Fury's never been past 4 rounds. Tyron Woodley's been in there with killers.
Woodley served as the UFC's welterweight king from 2016 to 2019, with an eventual loss to the great Cavalry sparking a run of 4 successive defeats inside the octagon for the now 39-year-old.
But it's still some unfinished business.
Will we see a knockout this time around, or another 8 rounds? Four months after their first fight, Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley meet in the ring again for a high-profile rematch in Florida on Saturday night. YouTuber turned boxer Paul was due to be facing Tommy Fury, but he pulled out 3 weeks before the fight due to a bacterial chest infection and broken rib.
It's funny how these professionals get sick, breaks a rib and doesn't want to fight. I fought sick, I fought hurt.
Ex-UFC welterweight champion Woodley stepped up at short notice for a second go at Paul and has been offered an extra $500,000 if he wins the rematch by knockout.
He does have power, and I have power. That's why you guys want to watch this fight again.
Paul won their first fight in Cleveland back in August by split decision, but he was lucky to avoid the first knockdown in his hometown as he was given a first thrilling ring test before continuing his winning streak. It's been impressive to see Jake Paul's growth as a fighter. He was originally dismissed as a sideshow act, but he has slowly made people pay attention to his skills with his performances over the last 2 years. As with his older brother, Jake Paul's first opponent was another YouTube star. He took on Anison Gibb in Miami in January 2020, and he showed his power with a first round TKO. His next fight really raised some eyebrows though, as he faced former basketball star Nate Robinson on the primary undercard of the exhibition between Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. Paul had a huge height and weight advantage and made the most of it with a breathtaking knockout. Paul faced a former UFC fighter in his recent bout. He headlined the card in taking on Ben Askren in April. Paul won a convincing victory over Askren, but it was somewhat malign considering Askren's track record. Still, Paul must be given some respect for a win over an MMA fighter that went 19-2.
I'm one of the biggest pay-per-view draws after only 3 fights.
Tyron Woodley was a more successful UFC fighter than Ben Askren. Woodley held the UFC Welterweight Championship for almost 3 years, and he recorded 7 knockouts in that time. He won the belt with a first round knockout of Robbie Lawler at UFC 201, and he was able to successfully defend the title against 3 separate opponents before losing to current champion Kamaru Usman. Woodley was 19-7 with 1 in his MMA career. However, he ended his UFC career with 4 straight losses. There is no doubt that Woodley packs more power than any other opponent Paul has faced in his career. In the first bout, there were a lot of questions about whether Woodley would let his hands go, as they had gone a little silent in the latter stages of his UFC career. Unfortunately for the former champ, it took a few rounds for him to get the timing and start throwing. The threat of a Woodley knockout blow is real.
Everything I do, everything I throw is gonna hurt.
There's a lot working against Woodley in this rematch. While we can be sure, it seems unlikely that he was training at a serious level before accepting the bout 2 weeks ago. Paul has been preparing to fight a tougher opponent and seems to be taking boxing seriously. He had been preparing to battle Tommy Fury before he pulled out of the bout because of a medical issue, so Paul is clearly in fighting shape. Woodley is extremely durable, and Paul's best game plan involves not swinging for the fences.
Maybe I could have did more, maybe I could have been a little bit more active, but we're in there.
On the other hand, Woodley probably lacks the cardio and certainly lacks the boxing skills to outpoint Paul here. With the additional bonus money being paid to Woodley for a knockout, there is no reason to think he won't be hunting for one. Though not a boxer by trade, Woodley is a decent enough striker and a tough and durable character, with his best days behind him nearing 40.
Every
Not
time I
this
hit
time.
you, you ran.
Not
Every
this
time you
time.
hit me, I walked you down, I got back in your face.
Paul will want to begin another knockout streak here to strike fear into Fury, but Woodley is smart and resilient enough to ensure that doesn't happen.
I don't need to be different. I just need to go out there and get it done this time.
He is known for his overhand right, but he'll need to find a way to set up that punch against an opponent who has solely trained boxing for the past few years.
I've sparred with 3-time, 4-time world champions, professional boxers, guys who are bigger than me.
Furthermore, Paul will own a height, age and size advantage over his opponent. Woodley now has the chance to prove that he is the better fighter, but brings the same 4-inch height disadvantage against his 24-year-old foe.
Everybody will watch Instagram and internet and they see something cool and they want to go and do it.
Aside from being 15 years young, Paul will also have a 2-inch reach advantage.
I'm not leaving it up to the judges this time.
Paul hopes to move on to more circus-type fights with a win on Saturday, perhaps against Fury again, or maybe the likes of more UFC-level foes like Nate Diaz or Conor McGregor.